I knew that stalking you would pay off.
What's going on here? You in love with me or something? What's going on?
Anyway, the world is truly a better place because you are in it. Your impact is undeniable. Hello and welcome to Undeniable. I am too excited. Today I get to sit with an innovator, a Harlem mover and shaker. That's right, I'm talking about Miss CR Capers. Bars! Y'all heard that? Hey, CR!
Hey, boo.
How you feeling?
I am honored and humbled at that introduction. Thank you.
Girl, you know that's all you. Stop playing.
Aww.
Stop playing. Stop
Thank
playing.
you.
I want to tell y'all a little bit about my CR. Okay? CR Capers is the founder and CEO of Harlem Film House, a 501c3 corporation that provides access and opportunity for diverse voices in the film industries around the world.
Yes, ma'am.
In her role as executive director, CR creates and produces film and music festivals and operates year-round workshops, theater productions, and live events, while also offering business consulting to filmmakers and content creators in underserved communities around the world, like me. In 2016, she established the award-winning Hip Hop Film Festival,
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
and the Fest Global Tour, which boasts a 700-member strong alumni of the top emerging and established directors and writers in independent film. In 2019, she founded the Harlem Film House XR, forging a path for equity, opportunity, and Web3, deploying AR, VR, XR, and AI.
Yeah, all of
The
that.
XR division focuses on creating film industry and economy in the metaverse for BIPOC creators. Her month-to-month program, Act Up. I love Act Up. That's why I had to pause on that. Sorry. Act Up. Currently in residence at the Schomburg, is where greenlit playwrights, screenwriters, directors, and the best actors and actresses come together for live theatrical reads and networking with influential producers and investors to foster growth and opportunity among BIPOC creatives. She has directed and produced 3 films, 2 shorts through her film company, MBS Films. In addition, she wrote and produced and directed the first ever Web3 series, Becoming the Moettes.
Becoming the Moettes,
And has
yes.
since executive produced 8 Web3 animated series under her Meta Film Works production program experience.
Yes, ma'am. Wow.
Because she be doing things.
Do a lot.
Okay, I actually learned some stuff about it. Okay.
It's a lot going on. It's a lot going on.
Definitely. Now, you have worn many hats in the game. You've been out here for a minute. How did you get this love for film? Like, where did that come from?
Well, we weren't allowed to watch TV at home. And my mom would only allow us to watch television if it was a BIPOC creator behind the camera or in front of the camera. And that meant from whether they wrote it or the music was in it or they were acting. So from very early on, my mother was the distribution hub of film in our home. So I was exposed to the best of Black theater, film, and music since I was born.
Nice.
And because she had such a heavy hand on what we were allowed to watch, it made me even more fascinated about what can't I watch?
Yeah.
What else is out there?
Of course, right.
So that's where it really began. I got a camera in my hand when I had my daughter.
Wow.
My baby girl, well, I'd always dabbled with cameras and stuff before that, but when I had my child and wanting to create memories for basically myself around her and just her growth, I really started delving into understanding cameras and how to film and get her in the best light and stuff like that. So that's where it began.
Wow, I didn't even know that you were into like cameras like that. So you was DPing? You was
Since high school.
Wow.
Since high school. I remember my very first class, we had to film a commercial.
Oh.
It was so terrible. But I remember I stole my mama's best crystal. She was really bougie. So she didn't have like regular perfume, but she would buy the perfume and she would take it out and put it into these beautiful
Love it.
crystal
Yeah.
bottles. So of course I wanted it for my perfume commercial at school. So I snatched one off of the vanity one day and poured out her good perfume
Oh.
and took the bottle to school to film a commercial.
How did that work out for you?
Not well.
Okay.
It did not end well for me. I got an A, but
Right.
it didn't end well. But yeah, been getting in trouble with the cameras for a long time.
Awesome.
A long
Awesome. So it seems that that A led to eventually you becoming a filmmaker yourself.
Yes.
When did you know that that's what you wanted to do, and how did you go about that?
I knew it was what I wanted to do when I saw it was the way for my voice not to be silenced. When I could have a viewpoint or have a point of view and no one could shut me up. So as a woman, and particularly as a Black woman, you know, we're the beasts of burden for absolutely everything.
Yeah.
No one cares about our opinion, or when we speak, it's like, yeah, whatever. But I found that if we put it into story form, if we're allowed specific access to talk about a specific point of view within story, there's power in that. And so that's how that really kind of got started. Like, I was tired of people telling me that my story didn't matter, my opinion didn't matter, that my hurt didn't matter, that the shit I'd been through didn't matter.
Yeah.
And like, it does matter. And when I found that space and I was able to be unapologetically myself and authentically myself, other folks began reaching out and saying, how did you do that? What'd you do? And I'm like, how do you not know? Just do it. And they're like, well, no, we can't just do it. And I'm like, okay. So let's figure this out. That's how it started.
Right. I love all of that. I most love how somehow you decide, okay, I'm going to be a filmmaker. I need my voice to be heard, need to tell these stories. Then something clicked somewhere along the line that you're going to tell me about, where you decide you need an entire film festival, okay, and create these events and bring these people together and build these communities.
Yeah.
Where did the film festival idea come from?
I'm a social justice warrior.
Okay.
And I know that sounds like, but I'm going to tell you why. I was raised, my mom was a follower of the King, and my dad was a Panther once they had become radicalized. So I grew up with a very important philosophy in my head that our people have to come first. Legacy matters. I have to take care of, make sure that my daughter has a legacy and that her daughter has a legacy, that all the children are cared for, because what happens to my daughter is contingent upon what happens to your daughter and their daughter. So long story short, the way the film festival came about is I was doing this podcast called Why You Mad Son Radio.
Yes.
Long time ago. Underground hit. We had millions of listeners worldwide. I don't know, whatever. We didn't have money to advertise or anything like that. So I said, you know what? I'm going to make commercials.
Okay.
So we started making commercials, and because podcasting was so new, everybody was like, oh, they making commercials? We gonna make commercials. And I'm like, wait a minute, y'all can't, this is some, okay, well, now I'm gonna make shorts that are long form kind of commercials to get more people to watch our stuff. So that developed, and we started filming, and then eventually I got bit by the bug, and I really got into directing, and I saw what an impact it could have on the community. The interesting thing that happened was, at the time I was working, I have a finance and compliance background. So I was came up in that. And I saw that I could distribute my work globally and raise money for community organizations. I was making six figures at the time, so I didn't, you know what I'm saying? I started floss on them little something. Little bit. But I said, okay, well, by distributing my own work, you know, people were paying for it overseas and stuff like this. Yeah. And I had a connection downtown, and I had the AMC on 42nd Street.
Okay.
And we had a big premiere. And it was at that event someone came to me and said, how the hell are you doing this? Your stuff is everywhere. You have all these people. How did you do it? And I'm like, I just did it. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't ask. They said, well, who told you could do this? Ain't nobody told me I could do nothing. Like, what are you talking about? I had to ask somebody. And they said, well, you didn't go to the festival? What festival?
Stop.
I had never been to a festival.
Wow.
In my life. I didn't even understand the construct of it. And it was
Yeah.
like, well, he said, all of, the black folk, all of us creatives, we go to these festivals. I said, well, do you get in? They're like, no. I'm like, what do you mean? And you pay how much to get into the
Right.
festival, and you don't get, so you're paying to be excluded?
Woo.
And I said, okay, well, what happens to people that do get into the fests? And they're like, oh, well, they get in the fest, and then you never really hear from them again. And I said, and then the cycle repeats. I said, well, then what do they do with their work? Are they selling it? Are they distributing it? Are they making connections? And I was like, no. So I said, okay, this is a problem. And then I sat back and I said, let me research what the landscape is for media globally. I went, I looked, and I saw that everything that was coming out of the TV was not by us. It really wasn't for us.
Yeah.
Or the one or two people that got through, they were being used to build a network, and then once the network got to a certain number, they let all the black folk go.
Yeah.
Still happening to this day, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, well, I don't understand why, if we are the biggest content consumers, that we're not coming together. We have distribution on our own. I mean, you could just do it. But it was this thing, like, people want fests. They want these awards. They want these things. So that's how we got started with the Hip Hop Film Festival, to say, okay, that's cute. But when you finish with that, let's all get together, let's have a fest, and let's make sure that you understand that you are an entrepreneur. You are a creative entrepreneur. Once you make that film, it's not, you're not a pillow princess at this point.
Gotcha.
You're going to have to work for that nut.
Yeah. Okay.
But I did see that when I did start the film festival, and I started looking into the mind of the creative, particularly the black creative, they do so much to get this film made that they don't understand that that's just the beginning of the process. There's a whole nother business side that goes into it. The marketing, the promotion, the selling, the distribution, like you really have to have the business acumen with it. There's been times when we've had the festival where filmmakers will get into the fest and they say, oh, I don't have to do nothing else.
Yeah.
CR's going to do the rest. No, baby. I'm not doing the rest. This is where you get the support to understand what it is to be an entrepreneur. So yes, you have to get butts and seats to your showing. Why? Because the distributors that we know, they don't look at us the same way they look at everybody else, or the people at Tribeca.
Yeah.
This is the culture. We still have to come with audience.
Yeah.
We have to come with branding. We have to come with all of that. And if you can't even fill a 50-seat theater where we can show them, hey, they sold this out.
Right.
They deserve at least a meeting. Then what is it? And I'm sorry, that's a long way to tell you how it started, but
I am soaking it all up.
but it's true. Like, so once you start a festival, it's like, particularly as a black woman, I get a lot of darts, and I get a lot of hate, and I get a lot of shit.
Yeah.
I do. But I'll take it, because at the end of the day, I know the conversations that are being had in the rooms that these filmmakers are not in. And by the grace of God, I'm allowed to be in some of those rooms and be on those calls and be told, well, this is why we don't mess with black creators. And they're very forthcoming about it.
Right.
So, yeah, that's just a little bit into, but that's why we started, is to be able to give our folks the business acumen that they need to succeed.
It's essential.
It is very essential.
Absolutely. Now, you decide you want to do this festival for all the wonderful, great reasons. Why did you decide to name it the Hip Hop Film Festival?
Good question. So, with anything, marketing, branding, and all that other stuff, I didn't want to be known as the Black Film Fest,
Okay.
or the Black Ankh Film Fest.
Yes.
Not because it's you know what? Not because there's anything wrong with that. You know what I'm saying? I love it just as much as anybody else. But when it comes to a global presence, it has to be inclusive and diverse.
Okay.
It has to encompass everything. Then I grew up in hip hop culture, right? And I figured, hey, listen, the culture's adopted globally. I'm going to take it back, number one. And number two, then push it back out so that they can say, when we go for sponsorship or we go to raise money and ad and all that, they can't say, well, you know, here's the Black piece of the pie of the budget.
Got you.
Like, no. We want all the piece of the pie of the budget,
Yeah.
the Black portion and the everybody else portion.
Tell me about it.
Because that's what happens. Like when you have Black festivals, they usually are relegated to the portion of, or the money that's reserved for Black stuff.
Okay.
Hip hop, this culture, is not Black stuff. It's global stuff.
Sure.
And we want global support, global distribution, global equity. Because everyone's profiting off of our culture and our stories, but us.
Talk about it.
So that's why it's called the Hip Hop Film Festival, to make sure that we stake a claim and ownership in that which is ours, to be the official storyteller when it comes to the history of this culture, so it cannot be co-opted or retold through someone else. It's based in New York, so you're not getting no more authentic than that.
Yes.
You know, we've seen copycats pop up in other places, particularly in other countries. But it's like, come on. Number one, you're not providing anybody that's entering those spaces any opportunities.
Right.
And number two, you looking like a straight up Vanilla Ice over there. So as a filmmaker, you gonna go to Vanilla Ice or you gonna come to Death Row? Which one you going for?
Come to Death Row.
If you don't want them all in the video, all on the record, you know what I'm saying? So it's like there has to be an authentic space for our cultured stories to be told, so we can't be erased, so that people know the true history, and then we can claim our equity in it, and where everyone understands that this is a business.
Say it again.
This is a business.
Yes. For sure, for sure. I love that. I did not know that. That's why I asked. And thanks for sharing that.
You're welcome.
Now, I want to take you back pre-COVID, when we first met.
Yes.
We
My
met
Riri.
at an event called We Watch.
Yes.
At this event, this is where I became inspired to become a filmmaker. A very pivotal moment in my life. A very important day in my life. I'll talk about that later. But I can't talk enough about experiencing this organization for the first time and just being hooked. I need to know, did you intentionally set out to impact people's lives the way that you do?
Always. Every day. I'll tell you what, media, propaganda, film, is how we learn about each other. And I appreciate what my mom and dad did for me and my sister, because we looked at ourselves a certain way before we were let out into the world. Once we got out into the world, I realized that other people were treating us according to what they were seeing on their television. Gotcha. They were treating us according to the stereotypes that existed. As powerful as my mom and dad were, they didn't have the power to control that. So my life has been dedicated to that, because I have a child. You know, my friends have children. I want everybody to be treated because of who they are. And I hate to sound corny, but it goes back to that Martin Luther King quote, you know, treat me by the content of my character, not by what you saw on a television.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And there's power in that. There's power in being able to control the narrative, because that's how we learn about each other. You know? So, yes, everything I do is intentional, fiercely so, unapologetically so, ruthlessly so. Yes.
Amazing. I love that. You have so much going on all the time. How do you stay motivated and disciplined in this shaky industry?
I own my shit. I don't answer to anyone. Everything you see we do comes out of my pocket. So I'm not beholden to anyone. I have full ownership of what we do and how we do it. I'm able to stay on mission because at the end of the day, the goal is to make sure my child is provided for. The goal is to make sure that the world treats her fair. The goal is to make sure that her friends are treated with as much care as I treat her. Yeah.
I love it.
That's basically it. I see so many other people that are beholden to the master that holds the strings for their organizations. They have to jump through hoops. They have to do so much so to get a little crumb of money to keep their doors open and stuff. It gets tough. We get in cash crunches. Things get tight. But always the goal keeps us going forward. And if I have to, drink water for a week or sleep on the floor of my office, I do that because somebody has to. So I'll be the bad guy.
Well, I salute you, Sia.
Thank you. Thank you, sis.
Of course.
Thank you.
Now, the Hip Hop Film Festival has gone to Africa, Europe. You have a full virtual reality situation happening.
Child. Boogie XR. Yes.
It's a full situation.
Whole situation.
It actually intimidates me a little bit, but I'm going to get there. I'm going to get there, Sia. I'm going to get there.
I think you would love it. I think you would love it.
Where do you see this organization headed next?
Wow. Exactly where we are and bigger. I'm glad you brought up the XR metaverse thing because I'm always looking for additional ways for us to distribute our stories and get equity from it. I'm a gamer. I've been a gamer since my mom gave me a Viewmaster when I had to be like 3 years old. Okay, listen, not the age, not telling the age, but there was this old toy for those that are watching. It's called a Viewmaster. I'm not going to say if I actually had an original one or not. That's none of your business. But we had a Viewmaster, and when you put the Viewmaster in, you were literally transported somewhere else.
Yeah.
It was literally the first pair of VR glasses, basically.
Yeah.
And I've been hooked since then, and I had every gaming system you could ever imagine in my home all the time. So I've always been a gamer. I've always been in this space where we play games with other people to build community.
Yeah.
That builds business, that builds care, that builds all types of skills that people don't realize. So once COVID hit and people really began investing, companies began investing in the tech, it literally in a year jumped to where I always wanted it to be. So I was super excited, jumped in, and I immediately met other Black folks, white folks, Chinese folks, I mean, you name it, globally.
Yeah.
Met all of these people who were of like mind, like spirit, like kindred.
Yeah.
And there was none of the BS, and it was dope. But what surprised me was that they were consuming content at a rate that was beyond anything that I had seen in the outside world.
Yeah.
We call it IRL, in real life, right? So in IRL, you go to the movies, you might watch a little Netflix, you good. In the metaverse, you go in there and you're with other people and you're having fun, you're playing games, there's presence, you're watching movies, you're going to events, and it's monetizable. Without any of the barriers. You don't have to get dressed and all that other stuff that they talk about.
Yeah.
But what I saw was another distribution way, avenue for our creators and our stories. So I built Harlem XR. We're on every single platform you could think about. We've done over 250 events. We've onboarded over 50,000 people into the metaverse. We created a meta series. We created a literal film industry in the metaverse, and it doesn't exist. We're the only ones doing it.
Yes.
Shit's crazy. Can you imagine? We created this series called Becoming the Moettes.
Yeah.
300 to 500 people every week in their homes around the world would stop what they were doing in the real world, put their headset on. It's like, yo, I'm going to see Becoming the Moettes. Put it on, enter a theater with a whole bunch of other people and avatars, and watch a show that we created.
That's
with
super
full
cool.
casting, locations, makeup, everything that you have in the film in real life, you have there. Gotta experience it.
Yes. No, I mean, well, after all that, of course, I have to experience it now. But I've been thinking about, like I said, it's like a little intimidating, but I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get it together. And just the way you talk about it, I'm like, oh, this must be something really exciting.
But imagine you've done so many films, right? So imagine RSVP having an event, and you have a theater, and you have 800 people coming to see RSVP. And then being able to have a discussion with someone in the Netherlands at the same time about it. I mean, in a real way.
Wow.
And I mean, I can't describe it, but it's possible, and we've done that. And then creating experiences. How you can have a DJ battle right afterwards. You can do so many things. But what's more so important is that people can pay to come in and see. So that's economy for you.
Got you.
You would it's another distribution point for our
I'm
stories.
starting to see the picture.
Okay. So not only do we get to share who we are, share our stories, but we're able to profit off of it and have some equity in it so that we can create the next production and hire more people and train more people. It's circular. It's a cycle, and we should be included in that just like everybody else is. Because right now they have a 50-year plan for the future of content, and we are not a part of that conversation. So the future for us is to make sure that we are a part of that conversation, that we have representation, that we have equity, that we're able to tell our stories, and we're part of that distribution chain that they are setting up right this minute. And trust me, none of us, there's no representation for us in that room except for Harlem Film House.
Wow.
And we're kicking down them doors.
Wow. Well, I am cheering you on every step of the way. And no, like, just to know that somebody like you is advocating for people like me, like, it's a great feeling.
Yes.
And I have to tell you more about how I feel about you right now.
Oh, what is that? Wait a minute.
Drama.
It's okay. All right, let me
you
sit back
ready?
and listen. I'm ready.
CR,
Yes.
you have created spaces for artists like myself to learn, teach, laugh, cry, and grow together. The Harlem Film House will always hold a special place in my heart as I credit this organization for inspiring me to become a filmmaker. You are unapologetically Harlem to the heart and rarely hold your tongue. I appreciate your kind and encouraging words throughout the years, knowing you see me and you're cheering me on. You look out for your people, putting them in line with opportunities to help build their brands. You are a multi-talented innovator, a loving mother and sister, and an undeniable rock star. This is for you.
Oh my God. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
I don't know what to say.
I like when they speechless. I like it.
I thank you, Chanelle. I call her my Riri.
Yes,
It's the camera. I call her my Riri. She's so beautiful. And listen, I have to say something about you. I mean, you are. This is definitely. This is you. This is definitely you. You will not be denied. You made sure that if you saw something, you took it, you took the opportunity, you made it easy to advocate for you. You make it easy for me to say, Chanelle, this is what you should do. This looks great for you, or whatever opportunity we can. Like, you were one of the first people to come and say, hey, I'll be a volunteer. And what was crazy about it, I was like, wait a minute, I can ask people to volunteer to help us? You were literally that person. You know what I mean? And when you went from volunteer to actor to writer to producer, I was like, yes! I mean, because that's what it's about. So watching your journey and watching your growth, I am so proud of you. I really am. And it's what it's about. I'm so proud of you.
Fills my heart up.
Yes, and this, I'm putting this in the frame. So my daughter's here.
Yes.
I'll make sure she reads it every day.
Reads it every day.
I'll make sure she read it. It's like, see, daughter, this is what it's about. This is what it's about.
You're too
I
much.
love this.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you.
You know, I absolutely love you.
I love you too.
I need you to tell the people how they can find you on social media, how they can get in touch with you. Y'all need to support this organization.
Yes.
I just have to put it out plain and simple. Support this organization. I cannot put into words really what this organization has been to me in my life, in my career especially. Be about that life. Get some action. Let's get some support for this organization.
Oh my
But
God.
let them know how they can find you and support.
So, I mean, the easiest way to find us, you can go to harlemfilmhouse.org or hiphopfilmfestival.org or .com. But what I would suggest is Googling us. Just Google Harlem Film House, Google Hip Hop Film Festival, or Google me, CR Capers, and make the decision for yourself. And if you find that you like what we're doing, if you agree with what we have put out here in the world for the past almost 10 years, Jesus, aging
Wow.
myself, then please find us, support. We need your help to keep our doors open, to continue to provide access and opportunity, creating ecosystems and pathways for equity for our folks. It is important, and it's more important now more than ever. So please research us. Please, if you cannot provide help monetarily, then we can always use volunteers. Now I know that, yeah, that's a thing. But we can use your help, whether it be here in New York City or overseas. We are absolutely everywhere. If you want more information about our Metaverse division, you can also find that on our website at harlemfilmhouse.org, and that is Harlem XR.
Awesome. Yes, please follow, get in touch. I just have to say, hey, Kim. Okay, so see, our sister Kim is one of my really good friends. I love you, Kim. Hey, girl. Okay.
She love her some you, honey. She love her some you.
No, but I appreciate you so much. I appreciate you coming here and talking to me. I appreciate what you do for the community, what you do for the culture. You are absolutely undeniable. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you all for watching. This has been another undeniable episode. Until next time, I'll see you later. The day I first went to the Harlem Film House, I really didn't feel like doing anything. I was actually extremely depressed, suicidal, and feeling stuck in life. I don't know what pulled me out of the apartment that day, but I'm forever grateful that I made it. Sometimes when we want to isolate and shut the world out, that's the very time that we should reach out. It could change your life. Thanks for hanging out with me. Till next time. It's time for our dance, 'cause we did that.
Ay.
Get it.
That was super dope. Thank you so much.